Bruce Wolf and Shaun Thompson in for Dan and Amy. Having a good time?
I'm having a lot of fun. Nobody else is, apparently, from the texts and tweets, but I'm having a great time.
You know, one person who tweets represents a mere 100,000 people who are upset with you.
I love the hatred.
We are pleased to be joined right now by a friend of mine who used to write for National Reviews, written for The Federalist, writes for American Greatness. She painstakingly chronicles the media bias that exists. We know about it, in our gut, but she actually documents it and does a wonderful job doing it. Julie Kelly, thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
So, Julie, Bloomberg yesterday reports that White House officials say lawmakers shouldn't vigorously defend Scott Pruitt. And as you've chronicled, nobody talks about what happened during the Obama administration with regard to the EPA. But, boy, there's story after story after story about Scott Pruitt now.
I mean, I've never seen anything like it, and it's not even unfair at this point. It's a propaganda campaign, especially by the New York Times, to destroy Scott Pruitt and damage him so badly that he can have no future political career. And so there's a hearing on the Hill tomorrow. Lawmakers are going to be exploring some of these charges against him. And I really hope he prevails because I think he's very popular with the base, Republican base.
Well, I mean, that's the problem. When people say, why did you vote Trump? Because every time somebody says something or makes fun of what Trump has done, another gaffe, the conservative response is but Gorsuch. For me, I amend that. It's but Gorsuch and Pruitt because he's so important. But can you just give us a feeling? I mean, you've generally said that the New York Times is after him. I mean, what are the kinds of things that the New York Times is picking on with Pruitt, but that they didn't do with the Obama administration?
I mean, there's so many, and I have articles up. I know that you've read them. Bruce at AmericanGreatness.com. The New York Times has now, in the month of April alone, posted 97 articles about Scott Pruitt. In 4 years, they wrote 120 articles about Gene McCarthy, who was Obama's last EPA administrator. Now, this is despite the fact that Gene McCarthy's EPA was responsible for the Gold King mine spill in Colorado that dumped 3 million gallons of toxic waste.
But it was an accident.
Right.
It was an accident.
Exactly. And it was a subcontractor. So it technically wasn't the EPA, was her excuse. She repeatedly lied to Congress. In fact, she was charged with contempt of Congress by several Republican lawmakers. She repeatedly refused to turn over scientific data to the House Science Committee, which Pruitt just announced yesterday a new policy regarding that. She deleted 6,000 texts that were being pursued by Congress. She was actually dinged by the General Accounting Office for breaking the law and using social media illegally to sell their clean water or Waters of the U.S. rule. So she violated the law. There were no articles, no editorials in the New York Times asking her to step down after any of these, any of her misconduct. Like I said, 120 articles about Gene McCarthy. A few of them were glowing. She was described as this, great mouthpiece for the president and such an advocate for the environment and for climate change. But after all of her missteps and lying to Congress and refusing to cooperate and be held accountable, only 120 articles just in the New York Times.
Now,
so we had an EPA that was very corrupt under the Obama administration. They also had problems with travel costs. None of this was covered until Scott Pruitt was sworn in I guess it would be January of 2017.
Now, this is my wheelhouse because I remember when Gina McCarthy was appointed, I found her nauseating. I did the research.
Yeah.
I felt the only thing she was qualified to be was the spokeswoman person for Subaru, and that's it. But the broader issue that I have with it is those people that house and are the actual employees of the EPA, they just got a raise under this omnibus thing. And earlier, I think the problem with our system, Julie, and tell me where I'm wrong, is the fact that these people actually do have what's called political careers. I don't like political careers. I don't like the interwoven corporatism and fraud with with lobbyists that they just exchange money and they just get, the more they fail, the higher they get in our government. Now, when I criticize the omnibus spending, when I criticize the debt and Trumponomics, why do I get pushed into that never Trumper? I'm not a never Trumper. I would have loved to hang out with him, right? He he changes wives every few years. He's got the private jet. He owns golf courses. I'm all in.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be there?
I want in.
Come on.
Yeah. But I'm not a never Trumper, but I don't like a lot of things that go on. So am I the bad guy?
No, of course not. And I mean, I hear that from a lot of Republicans. I think that it's a valid criticism. I think that there were a lot of Republicans who were disgusted with the budget bill, and I think Trump, too late, tried to fix it. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be reauthorized or up again in September. But look, there's a bigger war going on, and I've written about this too. You can only pick so many battles. Okay, we are right now in a huge political battle with the left and never Trump to regain some control of our federal government that has been corrupted under the Obama administration, helped by the media, and now boosted by the never Trump Republicans. And, Americans want their authority and their control back. And they see what's happening. You have a Mueller investigation that's completely out of control. We now know that Jim Comey is corrupt. Andrew McCabe is corrupt. You have a litany of people in the Obama Department of Justice. Loretta Lynch could possibly be condemned in next month's DOJ Inspector General report. I mean, we are uncovering the greatest political scandal possibly in history. So, you've got to pick your battles. Spending goes up a little bit higher than maybe the Republicans would prefer. That might be a small price to pay right now to, exposing what has been happening in Washington, D.C., and really attacking and exploiting innocent people, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos.
Sure.
It could be any of us.
Julie, so Julie,
to that point, I think you got to pick your battles.
Yeah, well, here's one battle. I mean, did you see who Comey has selected as his personal attorney? Patrick Fitzgerald.
Did.
So here's Fitzgerald, who can really relate to the withholding of exculpatory evidence. That is keeping Trump in the dark about the dossier origin. He left that out, which would have made Trump feel good. Because remember, it is Patrick Fitzgerald who handled the Scooter Libby trial, a trial that never should have occurred. But he fought against exculpatory evidence that would have allowed Judith Miller to say, "Hey, I'm not going to testify against Scooter Libby." So he's familiar with doing that kind of thing. And
well, he sure is. And just remember his grandstanding in the Blagojevich trial case. I mean, these people are cut from the same cloth. And when I saw that yesterday, I just thought, here's this triumvirate back together: Robert Mueller, James Comey, and Patrick Fitzgerald. Don't they know any other attorneys?
Right.
People in the world who can litigate anything? I don't understand.
It's like Maggie Smith getting all the parts in British movies. There's no other actors in Britain. And Patrick Fitzgerald, he always comes out of the woodwork. There's no other prosecutors. It's all this nice incestuous thing that they have going.
Julie, I heard your argument. You're right to a certain extent. You can't fight them all. But I got to tell you, Julie, I'm from Melrose Park. I live in Elmwood Park. I'm only really good at two things, and fighting's one of them. I think the only way we win is when fighting takes place among what used to be Republicans. Because what I'm seeing, Julie, and it's nauseating me, the Democrats are Soviets. It's over with. But what I'm seeing in Trumponomics is that the Republicans have become Democrats. And I think it's important we fight them all. What do you say?
I would disagree with you because I think outside of the budget bill, you have to look at what's been happening with deregulation. And this goes back to the EPA, and Shaun is someone who's followed this. The deregulation of industry in this country is going to be more consequential long term than I think anything really budget related. So you have tax cuts, you have deregulation, you have conservative judges being installed that are going to oversee a lot of laws moving forward when the left takes over again, because at some point they'll be back in power. And so, Trumponomics, I'm not really sure that just relates to the budget bill. I think there's a lot more to it that is very positive. You've got to contrast it to what the alternative is.
We've got to fight our battles with Trump, too. Here's Julie, one quick question. I only have a few seconds here. Are you going to buy Jonah Goldberg's new book, Suicide of the West? I'll run away and listen for my answer. Go ahead.
That would be a no, especially since Ben Boychuk at our site has already found a few errors in it, and
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I just have no interest in what he writes.
Okay, that's where the battle is. This intramural fight that we're. And next time we talk to you, we'll bring up Bill Kristol, and then I'll put on my protective armor because I don't want to get hit by the shrapnel. Thanks so much,
right.
Julie.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, Julie Kelly from American Greatness, written for the Federalist. Has written for National.
Has a lot of credibility, except she's friends with you.
She's from Oak Lawn.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oak
No,
Lawn.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in Naperville, but I live in Orland Park.
Oh, why did I say Oak Lawn? Yeah, no, Orland Park. Excuse me.
He's got an affinity for Southside girls.
I was trying to get a fight between Melrose Park and Orland Park. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. Yeah, I got to people get upset about their geography. No. It's like saying I'm from Morton Grove when I was from Skokie.
I wanted to explain that Trumponomics is like Keynesianism with a comb over, but we didn't have time.
We'll do that after the break.
It's what Chicago